There's been quite a few questions coming in, so what we're going to do is I'm going to just introduce the actual grad scheme to you, and then James is going to dump out the questions and send them to me, and then I'll sort of read the questions that have been coming out. I have tried to answer them in the chat bot as best I can, but we'll go through them and we'll assign a person that knows the most that question, and they'll give you an audible answer. Hopefully that'll work. But the grad scheme essentially is now open. Hurrah! So we've timed it with GIS Day, and we're just seeking applications. So all of the details are on this page. You're going to get a copy of the presentation, but if you go to the Esri UK website and you go to About Us and Opportunities, you'll then find the grad scheme. If you put Esri UK graduate program, you'll get in as well. The details are that it's a 2-year scheme. People have already said that. You rotate around all functions of the business. They've said that. You get mentored. We focus on training. We actually press Control-Alt-Delete on your GIS knowledge because like James went to Leicester and Jess went to Leeds and Hannah went to Edinburgh, and where did Haley go? Sheffield, Hallam. Bong was at Southampton and somewhere else, Cambridge. Everybody learns different stuff, but we want you to have a consistent messaging because we're the software vendor. So we tend to just go through basic knowledge of GIS and basic ways to use our platform. So as everybody has at least the same base, and then people have expertise. So like James did a lot in remote sensing and AI, and Bong was probably remote sensing and AI as well, and coding. But it means that you've got a consistent base. I am waffling. There's some criteria about you that I'm highlighting on the screen at the moment. So yeah, so there was a question about, sorry, distractingly, my dentist is ringing me, which I don't want to answer, definitely. You have to be a UK, have a work visa to work in the UK or be eligible to work in the UK. We're looking for people that have graduated in the last 2 to 3 years. So if you are not a recent graduate, then you can stick a CV in and we might consider it. But there are other opportunities on the Esri UK website. I think James highlighted those in his presentation. There's always opportunities at the moment. We are so busy at the moment. We are still expanding. It's a busy time. We are looking for bright people to join us so as we can continue to be successful. You get a good salary. We also do a profit share system where you get up to 20% of your salary as a bonus. It's been good. We've had a good couple of years. We're looking like we'll have a good year this year. We're hoping we're going to carry that momentum forward. But you know, it's been pretty tough for some businesses out there. And we know that some of our businesses will probably go bust in the next year. A lot of companies are struggling, but we seem to be doing okay. But there is a 20% bonus scheme, so it's in everybody's interest to work hard. And there's various other, you know, there's healthcare, there's gym, cycle to work stuff. There's loads of stuff, and the deadline is the 31st of December. Yeah. Does that make sense? So you're going to get this link. We'll send around probably in the next couple of days, and you'll be able to look at it. But it is open. But what I would say, I'd reiterate what Haley and Hannah said. Do your homework. Look at what we do. Look at the software we offer. Now, I am the higher education manager. I would love it if every single lecturer was teaching their students ArcGIS Online and ArcGIS Pro. But sadly, most of them are teaching ArcMap. We haven't sold ArcMap for quite a few years as a company. It's a deprecated product. It's heading into retirement. So it's about understanding what modern GIS is. However, Haley and Hannah both said that they hadn't really used Cloud GIS before they arrived, and they now use it every day. But they still did a really good job with their interview and convinced us that they were worth employing. So that's enough from me. Let's go to some questions. James, have you done the magic with the question thing?
Yes, yeah, it should be, I should have sent that over, Addy.
Is that in an email?
No, just in Teams.
Teams, all right, perfect. Oh, I've got some more questions. I've not found it yet. I'm going to read out. So somebody asked, would everybody on the grad scheme be based in Aylesbury post-COVID? So that's one for me to answer probably. The answer is Probably, but we are trying to expand the graduate scheme out to beyond just Aylesbury. The two other offices that would probably take people on would be Edinburgh and Cambridge, because they're big enough. They've got different business functions. But whatever we do, there would be an expectation for you to be Aylesbury based for about 3 months right at the beginning, because so much goes on in that head office, and we've got the capacity to run training and do the mentoring, and all the HR stuff that we have to do with new people has to really happen in Aylesbury. This year has been very odd, where none of our graduates have stepped foot into the office with people in it since they started. They are surviving. We are taking extra care and attention to mentor them. It's not a normal year, and we don't know what next year is going to look like. So if it is a post-COVID environment, then Aylesbury will be where the bulk of the graduates go. But hopefully we'll get one in Edinburgh and one in Cambridge. Somebody else asked how many people come onto the scheme. It's usually 5 or 6. Is that right? Everybody was Haley Hannah, you've got 5 on your year, haven't you?
There's 6 of us in our year. I don't know who you're forgetting about, but
yeah, I don't know either. Right, and are there any online resources that I could pursue to improve my knowledge and practical use of GIS? I would suggest looking at the Learn Hub. If you put Esri Learn into a browser, you will get to a really nice looking website, which is full of e-learning modules. What you need to do to access that is to have an ArcGIS online identity, which you can get from your university. If you can't find the right person, then you probably want to email me. And I haven't put my email address on this. I'm going to edit my story in real time, and I'm going to put my email address at the bottom, so as you know who to hassle, and then I can hook you into the right person at your institution. So I'll just make that big. Come on, drop down. Do it. So that's my email address there. If you send it to that, one of the education team, he laughs, it's just me, Katie, and Jason. We'll get back to you. I'll just publish those changes. All of our presentations today have been in story maps, which I think is hugely interesting. What other questions have we got? How much specialized knowledge other than GIS, such as remote sensing, is required or preferable? Who wants to come in on that and give me a break? Anyone? James?
Yeah, I can take that one. So what I'd say is that it's really good to have, an interest at university and something that you're pursuing there, but it's kind of building on what Adi was saying, that it's almost kind of a clean slate when you join Esri UK, and we'll provide all of that training. You need to sort of look at GIS in a slightly different way as we're providing the software. But if you have a special interest in GIS, then definitely maintain that, and if you can quickly become a subject matter expert in Esri UK. So in my example, I had quite a good working knowledge of remote sensing, and week 1 I was able to help out with remote sensing questions, and senior people in the business saying how should we do this. So you're kind of taken at for your skills, not for your position, if that makes sense. Don't know if anyone else wants to chip in.
No, I'll mention soft skills here. Your soft skills are just as important. So it's how you present yourself and how you communicate. I reckon I've worked in more places than anybody else on this call, probably because I'm the oldest. It doesn't mean I'm the wisest by a long shot, but the soft skills are really important. We make our grads earn their keep pretty quickly. You will be on calls to customers in support. You'll be going out supporting somebody in pre-sales or shadowing somebody in PS really quite quickly. So within 3 months, actually, normally, when we don't have disruptions like COVID, in May, the second year grads would be presenting at the annual conference, and that's in front of 3,000 people. And quite frankly, I'm glad I don't do it. Is anybody on the call? Jess, did you have to do that?
yeah, twice so far.
So you were so good that you got asked back.
Yeah, should have been bad. I think should have messed it up.
But what I'm trying to say is that those soft skills, like we will also so even within like the 6 years I've worked in Esri UK, the internal training has transformed. We now have a lot of stuff like diversity and inclusion. We have presentation skills. Our CTO went on the presentation skills course. His presentations are really good, I think, and he said that it's the thing that makes him most nervous about his job, and he found it a horrible experience. But we put people through that. There's communication courses, there's time management courses, there's all of that, but they've been rejigged and they're really quite good. We also do things such as a commercial passport. A commercial passport helps technical people understand sales and money, because that is the thing that keeps our business afloat. Similarly, we have a tech passport, so all the people that are in more business functions in the job have an appreciation of our tech. And I think that's really neat. So every single person in the business understands a little bit about the tech and a little bit about the process of making a sale. And that's hugely important because you never know what you're going to end up doing next week at times. Let's have another question. Let's go and have a look. Has anybody else seen one which is pretty good that they think?
Yes, so
Yeah.
oh, there's a couple that mention, so my course is currently using ArcMap instead of ArcPro. Are there any online courses that I could take that teaches ArcPro in preparation? And then there's a second one that's on my current MSc, we're using ArcMap. Do you think this will disadvantage me or other candidates in a similar position? So I guess in answer to the first one, Adi mentioned the Learn ArcGIS modules that are available online that you can do, and there's actually a course that kind of helps transition between ArcMap and ArcGIS Pro, but don't think if you've only used ArcMap that you're going to be kind of hindered in your application. I came in with mostly ArcMap knowledge, a tiny bit of experience with Pro, but just having that awareness and having those transferable skills like data analytics, data visualization, and kind of problem solving are definitely key aspects of the role. And if you've used them in ArcMap, they're going to be transferable to Pro. But obviously, it would be great if you could use kind of that online module or look up some videos and things of using ArcGIS Pro as well, just so you're aware of that.
I've got the Learn Hub on the screen now, so you should be able to see it. If you go to the top, you can pick by capability. So if you're interested in remote sensing, that's there. But if you go to product and go down to ArcGIS Pro, you'll get a list of all of the courses for ArcGIS Pro, and exactly what Hayley's just said. I would encourage you to go and have a look at this, not just to get a job with Esri UK, but as I said, we haven't sold this to any new customers we haven't sold ArcMap to new customers for at least 4 years. So the world is transitioning away from ArcMap, the GIS world, and it's moving towards ArcGIS Online, and ArcGIS Pro is a replacement. And you can find loads of stuff in here. I think there is an introduction course, but have a look, go to the Learn Hub, and if you see how it says Adi at the top, that's I'm logged in. You need to be logged in on a customer account, and your universities are customers. So if you can't find who to ask to get that identity, this is the email to bombard, unfortunately, me with, but it's my job. I will get back to you and put you into contact with the right person. All right, what else have we got? Is the graduate scheme a good way to start with Esri if you have a PhD? I would probably say yes. We would count that as still a recent graduate. Obviously, you'll need therapy because you've been through a PhD. Certainly I did. That is a joke. But it's, yeah, I mean, you have some other skills. It might be that we think that there's a job which is available for you which better suits you, and we would offer you that. But I would encourage you to apply. We will sift the applications and put them forward for other jobs that we know that are there.
Adi,
Oh
I've
man,
got
there's
a
so many.
question I can answer if
Yeah,
that's all
go
right.
for it. Yeah.
There is a lot coming through, but there's one here. Do all graduates on the grad scheme get accepted onto long-term roles? And there's just a couple of bits I wanted to address on that. So I don't know if anyone's been watching Industry, but we're not a cutthroat graduate program like you might have seen on that show. All graduates are placed into roles at the end of the graduate scheme, and the way that works, there'll be a number of roles advertised towards the second half of your final year, and then it's a simple application process to join those kind of long-term roles into different teams. The the main areas that people will go into are into our sales team and into our professional services team. But there's lots of examples of graduates going into different roles. The other thing I wanted to say is that we've been running this for a little while now, and I think 42 graduates have now either been through the scheme or on the scheme. Of that cohort, that 5 people don't work at Esri anymore. And I think all of those 5 people work at one of our customers. The other 37 people are still at Esri UK. So we have great staff retention, and we look to keep everyone on.
And a little anecdotal bit on the end of that, we had one guy who we were his second choice, and 3 or 4 months into our grad program, his first choice came back to him and said, "Hey, we've had a dropout and you were on the reserve list. Do you want to swap?" And he did. And after 2 months, he realized that his dream job wasn't his dream job, and he wanted to come back. And he spoke to his manager, and he had been very good and very honest all the way through. And we took him back. And if I give you one bit of advice beyond this, to always be honest with your employer. So if you are thinking about something, that honesty is the best way to do it. Don't burn bridges. But that person came back. They're still in the company, and they're doing very well as well. But sometimes the grass isn't greener, and they certainly found out. What has anybody else got another? Is a background in the use of GIS within the field of science communication a skill set worth mentioning or applying in the grad scheme? Yep, it is actually. There is a job that's just closed that would have been really good for in my team in higher education. We're looking for somebody with coding and science communication. But yeah, it's worth putting down. Science communication is important, but just communicating with customers is very important as well. I would say that if you are really interested in environmental GIS or biodiversity in GIS, we're probably not the employer that you want to be looking to get a job with. You should probably look for an environmental consultancy. We work with everybody that uses GIS. So 1 week you're supporting Network Rail, the next week you're supporting the RSPB, the next week you're supporting Environment Agency, the next week you're maybe looking at a large supermarket which has taken our software. We don't know who you'll be working with, but it's everybody that uses GIS. So if you've got an interest in specialism, go and look for a company that works in that specialist area. You'll probably be happier, I would say. Anybody else want to jump in with a question?
I think there's a lot of questions, sorry, Hannah here. There's a lot of questions about level of GIS skill and extra online courses and software and things you can use. And I just want to highlight the thing that Addy mentioned earlier. When Hayley and I started, we got told the next day, forget everything you know about ArcMap type thing. So if you're worried about your level of technical skill, as long as you have a good basic understanding of the principles and fundamentals, I think people really need to focus on their interpersonal skills as well. Like Addy says, if you've got project management experience, anyone writing a dissertation has that. If you have time management experience, if you've got a part-time job, you've been doing that. So those are also equally important things to highlight. I know for me, definitely my interpersonal skills was something that helped in my interview. And something that we've been doing as part of the marketing rotation is personal branding. So this is something that Esri UK is definitely putting a push towards, people having a higher level of emotional intelligence as well as technical skill.
Cool, that's a good answer. I'm currently in the final year of my undergrad now. Can I still apply? And would my results of last year be used to deem my eligibility? Yeah, kind of. If you put what you're projected to get, then that's what the information that we'll use. But once you get asked to an interview, we're looking at you, the person, really, and how you'll fit. I don't know what would happen if somebody then completely bombed on their degree. Not in HR, unfortunately, so I don't have that level of knowledge. But I would just, we're looking for people that can start in August, September, aren't we? So if you're in your final year of your undergrad or you're doing your MSc, now is the time to apply. What else have we got in here?
Addy, just to add to that point, sorry, I think also, and I might get the number on this wrong, graduate for Esri means you've graduated from a degree of some sort within the last 3 years, I think. Is that right?
Yeah. 2
or 3 years.
That's
you don't have to immediately have graduated. So yes, there's some time.
Yeah, and beyond that, we would look at other opportunities that we have in the business and put you in there. There's a question about, hopefully it won't be the case, but what is the plan if COVID restrictions at the start of the scheme, will it be delivered remotely? Yes, we currently have 5 or 6 Esri UK grads plus 2 or 3 in Esri Ireland being taught remotely, and we just have to live with it, and we're doing the best that we can. We'll get feedback from them. Hopefully we won't be in the same situation that we're in at the moment, but nobody really knows. We thought this was only going to be a couple of months, and it's ticking on for 10 at the moment. But yeah, we'll just react to whatever we face.
Yeah, I mean, just
on.
on that point, Addy, I planned the remote onboarding for the current cohort, and I've been kind of reviewing performance and that kind of thing, and kind of happy to say that everyone's doing just as well as if they were in the office. So we're trying to kind of put those networking opportunities and development opportunities in. It can feel a little bit more forced, but we're kind of considering all those things. But hopefully it won't be a remote start.
I'm just thinking, I was speaking to Jess yesterday, what happens when we have to be in society surrounded by people again, and you're in a room full of hundreds of people? You're going to forget what we're meant to be saying.
I've left some food in my drawer in my desk, Addy. I'm terrified about it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's probably a living organism now. There's a question here which says, do you have any voluntary opportunities or partners with voluntary organizations to improve your CV and gaining experience? Well, we don't really do volunteering with the company from external people. We do internships, and we pay people for those internships because we expect them to work on a daily basis, and I think that's the way that you get the best out of interns, is to actually pay them as if they were a salaried member of staff. Voluntary opportunities, I would, if I was doing it, I would look for a not-for-profit organisation that either uses GIS or should be using GIS, and go and hawk your skills, see if they need some help, and see what happens. Hannah, do you want to jump in here, because you've worked with a couple of voluntary organisations?
In what respect?
Well, why did you volunteer for the RSGS, and what did you get out of that?
Yeah, so I kind of volunteered because, as I said, it was something that I could control, and I found myself at university with lots of time. And if I couldn't do an internship, then I might as well be doing something useful. And I think it really helped with just like meeting people, really. I met a lot of people from different backgrounds that I might not have done just like through my course or through my lecturers. And they all gave me, it's just that type of networking thing. It's like LinkedIn, but in real life. It gave me good experience presenting and speaking to a different demographic of people not my own age. So yeah, it kind of really helped my communication skills and brought me out my shell, I think.
If you want to do something specifically with GIS, go and take a look at missing maps as well. It's something I just touched on, but you use it's quite a simple JavaScript application, and it's lots of digitizing, but you're actually helping out crisis hit areas and kind of mapping them onto OpenStreetMap. So that's a really, really good voluntary cause as well.
It's a good shout. We've probably missed some. Is the grad scheme start date flexible? I don't finish until September. When is the start? I think September is roughly it, but we do time it so as MSc students would be finished. Yeah,
it was tight this year, but we will take into account everyone's finish dates. So if it's a September finish, then we'll make sure that would work.
Would LinkedIn Learning, formerly Linda, be a credible source of learning Esri products? Probably. We'll ask questions about GIS and knowledge. There's things that you can do in your CV. I would love to see more story maps linked off CVs, because it actually gives you a window into what people have been doing. But yeah, do as much training as you can and add it to your CV and make yourself as employable as possible. We're just one company, but we've got hundreds of companies that look for people just like our grads to join their organizations.
And talk to your GIS admin, whoever that is for your university. If you're not sure, then contact your geography department, because once you've, as a student, you'll have access to the My Esri training. You might need to be set up with that, but there's a whole wealth of training there. That's probably a great place if you want to learn Esri.
There's another question: is coding languages such as Python and R, are they essential or desirable on the grad scheme? They're kind of desirable. They're not essential. I think Hannah would say that she didn't have any Python or R to any great degree. And actually, you can get a hell of a long way in Esri UK without having to touch any code. That's part of the beauty of our stack. But the more stuff you have on there, it's not going to hurt you. Does anybody want to chip in on that?
Yeah, just on software, there was another question about open source, and that is definitely useful. That, you know, what we want is a breadth of GIS experience, and you know, kind of on that argument, the two kind of complement each other. So there's still times where we will implement open source within our products as well. So that the two are intimately linked, and you know, open source is a great thing to have on there. So breadth of GIS as well as that kind of depth in Esri.
So for those that are still on the call, and there's just under 100 of us left, so the nugget I'll give you is that when you're writing your CV, GIS is a skill, remote sensing is a skill, ArcGIS, ArcGIS Pro, QGIS, they're applications, and they're different, and they shouldn't be conflated into one thing. You should separate them out. So I want to see what skills you've got in different disciplines, but I want to see what applications or programming languages you've used in those different skill sets. So I would separate them out. So what I'd put down is QGIS, ArcGIS, MapInfo. Who remembers that? You're probably all too young. Does that make sense? So think about your CV as well. Your CV and your covering letter, this is another little nugget for the people that are still on, should be different. Your covering letter shouldn't be just a paragraph version of your CV. That's a waste of an opportunity. It's an opportunity for you to draw out your passions and why you're a suitable person for the company, which means doing your homework, as Hannah said, on the company, and Haley said as well. Do your homework on the company. What are they doing? Where are they moving? Where's the sector going? And then try and put that into your covering letter. Do we actually do CVs for the grad scheme, James?
Yes, yeah,
We
CV
do.
and cover letter, yeah.
Yeah, so it's pretty standard.
There's another theme that we've had, which is about the assessment centres. So I don't know if Hannah and Haley wanted to, you know, give any experience of how those were, how they felt, how, you know, how the day went.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. So I know as kind of one of the first rounds of the application process is a telephone interview. For some reason I didn't actually have one of those, so Hannah will probably be able to expand more after on that. And then you get invited to an assessment centre day, where it kind of consists of like group activities and just general like off the cuff question and answer and some kind of standard interview questions which you'd expect at an interview, and you really have the chance to kind of show off both your like technical skills as well as like your soft skills, and interpersonal skills too. It was a really relaxed environment as well, and on my lunch break on the day I got to speak to some of the grads that were already on the scheme and find out how they were finding the grad scheme and whether they were enjoying working for Esri UK as well, which was one of the really nice things to see. I was also interviewed by quite a few different panelists too, so I got to meet all the different types of people and what job roles they're in as well on that. Hannah, I don't know if you have anything to add.
No, not really. I think you've said it quite well there. The telephone interview, I think was just, so yeah, submitting the CV and cover letter. So there's not loads of rigorous online tests that you might have at different companies. So that was a plus because I'm rubbish at maths. But the telephone interview was basically just kind of to assess that I was the person who I was saying I was. There wasn't really any difficult questions on there. It was just an informal phone conversation.
Excellent. Well, we're slightly over what we had anticipated at sort of 90 minutes, but that's okay. It's been good. I hope you've enjoyed it. We're going to try and collate the information back to you when I actually get time to do it. So hopefully it'll be early next week, and we'll try and include some of the answers to the questions. If you've got feedback, do send it to us. If you've got questions about how to get yourself hooked up with an ArcGIS online identity so as you can do the online training, have a look at ArcGIS Online and also have a look at Pro if that's not been what you've been taught. The two, ArcMap and Pro, are very similar. If you can use one, you can use the other. It's just a little bit confusing at the beginning, but having some experience of it would be definitely good to see on CVs. So if you don't have access, let me know and I'll try and put you in contact with the right person. That is probably all I've got to say. Has anybody else got any closing remarks?
Nope.
Brilliant. It's always the awkward way. I had to wind things up. I hope you've all enjoyed it. It's been quite a quick 100 minutes. Anyway, I hope we can do interviews face to face. I hope 2021 is a smoother ride, and I really hope that you all get home for Christmas, because that'll be terrible if you don't. So if everybody can stay safe, and hopefully we'll see some of your CVs coming in for the grad scheme. Thank you and goodbye.